Right, so this is my little Weaver. Is it 5,000 kilowatt or something like that? Heater. We're gonna take it apart though, and hopefully this shows up on camera. Model 5001, 3,000 kilowatt. So we're gonna take it apart, and I cleaned it last fall, and it had, at that time, about I estimate on the low side of a couple thousand hours on it. And we pulled it apart, cleaned it up. So I was burning waste motor oil. So hopefully it shows up, or maybe a little bit better like that. The exhaust that comes on them does have a bit of a tendency to leak. At least on this one it does, because it's solid metal, so you can't really clamp it down very well. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to take this apart, go through it, check the glow plug, check the burn chamber, give her a good clean before the season. It's getting cold here. And I use this to heat my porch. So you can see, just it's picked up a bunch of dirt last winter. So I might get a slip-on cone filter or something like that for there, just to help filter out some of the dust and crap like that. Give me a minute, we'll get all this off though. So we're up to this stage. So this has been apart, and since I run a manual controller, I actually adjust my settings accordingly depending on how hot or cold it is, or not hot, but here in Canada it's not uncommon for our winters to be anywhere from minus 30 Celsius all the way like minus 35 Celsius, and I use this to heat our porch actually. And we are coming on to winter number 3 with this heater. I pulled it apart last year because, like I say, I was burning waste motor oil. So I wanted to, I was having issues with it firing up. So pulled it apart, cleaned the carbon out. Anybody that's seen the video last year about it would have seen all that. So I'm almost thinking, and don't quote me, I'm no engineer here, but I was kind of almost thinking that if I found something to reduce the exhaust port just a little bit, I might be able to consume a little less fuel, but retain more heat in the burn chamber, as it can't. Even if I did the intake side, just something to reduce it just a little bit more. The intake would probably be a lot safer because it doesn't heat up. Yeah, just try to pull a little more life out of the fuel, just because I go through, it depends on the days, but some days, I might go through 10 liters in a day. Some days I might go through 2 liters in a day, depends on the weather. So we gotta get the CCU pulled off, get that all unplugged, which is easy. Boom, one connector there to disconnect the glow plug. Then your burn chamber temperature sensor right there. Hopefully it shows up. At least on this board it is. And yeah, I gotta clean the fan out. I don't know how well that's going to show up. The dust and stuff accumulates, same as in the fins. Got a couple cats, so there's some hair that gets caught in there too. So give me a minute, we'll get that filter off, get this housing cracked. Last year I ordered the wrong gaskets, so I actually used some RTV silicone. It was either that or Moto Seal, just on this section, because it doesn't get all that hot. The inside in the burn chamber is able to use the original gasket, I believe. It's been a year, so give me a minute. And before I forget, also your RPM. I'm assuming that's for your RPM pickup of your fan motor. So let's get that off. There's your ECU. That's all there is to it. There's different ECUs for different controllers too. So my handy dandy Torx, or was that hex bit set from Princess Auto. Let's see. Nope, that one's too small. That looks like it's gonna be too small. Yep. You can tell how often I use these things. Okay, so it's not metric, or one of these got mixed up in here. I don't see a size labeling on them. Oh, there we go. That is 4.5 millimeter. Hopefully these things don't break. I have not used them yet. Nope. Sweet. I'll be right back. Alright, we got the fasteners out. Since this has been RTV'd, I suspect this is going to be a pain to get off. But we'll see. Nope, easier than I thought. So, that's your burn chamber. That's your glow plug. Oh, move that wire out of the way. That's your glow plug right there. Hopefully it shows up. There's your fuel line. Goes into around the case. There's an atomizer or a screen in there. So why it's even more important I take this apart was because I did finish off running what I had mixed up for waste motor oil last year. So I'll have to clean little bits of silicone off the edges, but that's bugger all. I got a new gasket set. That feels alright. I don't believe there's any bad bearings in there, but I could be wrong. It sounded alright before. What I'm feeling there is probably the DC motor, the magnets in there. You can feel something that feels like a little bit of resistance, but it's, you rotate it, you feel it. Rotate it, feel it. I hope that makes sense. Be right back. Okay, just listening to it closer, and I think a bearing is starting to go. I don't know if this is going to show up. Hear a little squeaking. So, but we're going to run it like it is. These heaters are so cheap, if something fails, then just buy a whole new heater. So, let's get this burn chamber out and see what's going on. And before I forget, new glow plug. I don't know what, oh, that must be the cover. Must have fell off. Then the socket, then the atomizer. Don't worry about the rest of the stuff in the box. It kind of got mixed up with other things, so let's see if this one works. The one I got last year worked fine, but because I didn't burn much, what was it? I had, what are they, 10-liter tanks, so the beginning of last winter I burnt off roughly, I think it was 5 liters worth of waste motor oil just to finish off what was in the tank, rather than dilute it out, or dump it out, I mean. I ended up diluting it out. So what started out as a 50-50 kind of ended up getting bled down and bled down and bled down over the course of a few tanks. So I don't know what to expect in here. This is a screwdriver fit. Oh yeah. Alright, let's see. Oh yeah. No problem. What this socket reminds me of actually is a O2 sensor socket. Same thing, it's slotted. So we will get this out. Yeah, that's not bad at all. Focus. Hopefully it's kind of focusing. It's not plugged up or nothing. My last glow plug from all the waste motor oil I burnt was a bit of a chore. It was really carboned up. Okay, let's get this out next. Because until I see what's in that atomizer, it looked clean looking through the top, but it doesn't mean it is. I should actually just grab my impact and zing, zing, zing these out. Make life a lot easier. But when you're ordering gaskets, there's different style gaskets, and you just got to make sure you order the right one. I believe, like, I ordered these last year because they were on back order, but I believe you can dictate this first gasket to base off what's in here. A lot of these Chinese diesel heaters, though, are this 4-hole version, so that would be this gasket. But there are definitely, there's 2 or 3 different styles of them. Come on up there. Now I'm curious what it's like in here. If you want to see, if you want to see one of these Beaver heaters torture tested, go check out Lord Expectations. He really put these things through a torture test, to say the least. I just wish that these heaters were actually a true, because everyone I've ordered has been supposed to be a 5,000 or 8,000 kilowatt, and none of them actually ever have been. Oh, it's not showing up. I gotta lean forward more. Gaskets off. Let me grab a flashlight. Actually, that's not bad inside. Way better than last year. Let's see if this light will work. So on the bottom, there, you see all that white sludgy stuff? Last year, that was a huge pocket. Shoot, I can't do a light and show you. But you can kind of see where the discolored section is above that red ring. That's roughly how carboned up it was last year from running waste motor oil. Behind the lip down there, you can see there's a little bit of buildup. That trying to get in there to clean that is a pain. I use picks, like I have like dental picks, but I use those. You can use other picks to kind of reach in there as much as you can to get that carbon out. Because what happens is, when it's all together, this fan here spins with that black fan, and that black fan pushes the air over the housing, and that's where you get your hot air from. The white fan feeds into this here, and those angled fins, I'm guessing, gives it like a swirl. I don't know if it helps pull fuel or just also helps atomize it. But before we move any further forward, oh wait, I want to pull that screen out, but that already looks pretty darn clean. And like I said, there's well over another 2,000 hours on this from last year. Last year, earlier in the season, I had to pull it apart. I was having startup problems and all this other wonderful stuff because it was so plugged up in waste motor oil that, case in point, I don't suggest you running it. Give me a minute. Those screens could be a pain to take out. This one's kind of fighting. Be right back. Well, that only took a couple of seconds. Let's see. Does this illustrate? Kinda. Oops. Try to get that in the flashlight to. Yeah, it's not bad. It's not all gummed up. Waste motor oil, from my experience, plugged these up really, really bad when I was trying different mixtures of it. Now let's see. That's loose crud, but those fins are not plugged up with carbon like they were last year either. Like I say, you see a little bit of ash down there, but give me a sec, I'll dump it out. It's loose in there, so, and voila, it's clean. And then the hole right where the light is, that's your exhaust output. So I'm gonna give this a little bit of a scrape, especially where you see the really dark stuff, but I mean, it ain't bad at all. It was substantially worse last year, like burning that waste motor oil. Anybody that says burn waste motor oil is successful, I would like to call bullshit, but doesn't mean it's wrong. I just personally never had any luck with it. It caused me more headaches than it was worth. Oh, that one fits in there pretty good. It looks like that screwdriver. Oh yeah. Sorry. There. Yeah, stuff that's on there is super, super thin. It's not thick at all. But I really absolutely do not suggest burning waste motor oil in one of these. Yeah, that's just surface dirt. That's bugger all. We'll call that good. We'll leave it be. And like I say, so this had a cleaning after 2,000 plus hours on it last fall. It's a good minimum 2,000 plus hours on it again since last winter till now. But now that it's getting cold, I figured we will get pitter patter on here. Oh yeah, that stuff's a little on the thicker side. I don't know if that shows up very well. It's one of the chunks I just pulled out of the burn chamber. Might have to get a different tool for this though, but I used a variety of different picks last time to get in here and poke and prod, and I'm gonna see if I got a better, little longer maybe pick. Hang on a sec. I have really long picks. I just don't know where they are. I got my stubbies. Oh well. This is what I got to work with, is what we're going to use. I know you guys can't see what I'm cleaning because I gotta tilt it for what I can see. Yeah, this thing's, it's tight getting it in there. A little bit of ash in there, but I assume some of this white garbagey crap is from the leftover the waste motor oil. See, some more of that junk. A few pieces there. Really hard to get in there. I believe I used my long picks last year when I did this, which made life a little easier than trying to use these little stubby ones, but because then you can reach further down with less hassles. But like I say, beggars can't be choosers, so we'll do what we can. Because like I wasn't having any issues with fire ups last year after cleaning it out. I would get so what would happen after when it's all plugged up with waste motor oil is it would attempt to start, and then I can't remember which code it would start, but it was basically a start failure, and so then you have to go through the whole process and all over again, try starting it, and then it got to the point where I'd have to go into the ECU and really richen up the fuel to get it to start. Okay, so I don't know if it's going to show up. Now on top of the screen you can see that in the center all those things are ribbed, and some of those ribs are now plugged up. So I'm going to try to get those freed up so those ribs are opened up again as they should be, and just so this thing's working as best as it can. Give me a minute. Alright, that didn't take much. Now you can see all those fins are opened up as they should be. I think I got everything out. I don't hear anything rattling. No, sounds alright. Now we will put this bugger back together. I know my makeshift bench here ain't clean. My main bench is just plugged up with stuff right now. Like saying, this is pretty darn clean. A little bit of ash, but that's bugger all. For a big company like this, what do you think? Now let's get for a gasket. Nope. I'm a dumbass. That's the wrong gasket. Which way do you go? Nope. Flip you the other way. Bada bing, bada boom. Alright. At least we know we got the right gasket. You don't have to put the atomizer in first if you so choose. That's up to you. Either way, there's no specific order on putting the atomizer back in, but as long as it's in before glow plug back in. This rubber nub here, there's a slot. Hopefully it shows up as oh yeah. So it's directional. Come on, line up with this slot. There we go. Gaskets in. So would I recommend these diesel heaters? I would say yeah, they're cheap. Depends what you're trying to heat. I mean, the area that this one is specifically used in, it actually, it's about a 6x8, 6x10 roughly porch area. Windows on 3 sides and a house on the other side. I don't believe the porch is insulated. Like, we're in a rental property, so it's not ours. So I don't know. It could be insulated, but all 3 walls have windows on them. That's the main thing. Old school, single pane, wood frame windows. So there's next to no R value in those things. And that's what I use to heat heat that porch area in the winter. So to give you an idea, I run on the on the heated side, I run a Y splitter with adjustable valves. Get it off of Amazon, and that's where I got these gaskets from. Actually, is Amazon, but you can get them off there. And so I run one duct down close to the heater on one side, and then I actually use a dryer duct for the other side of the porch, and then that way I can get heat to both sides of it. And so to control the flow, I'll take the short run of the tube and actually close the damper on the or the valve damper, whatever you want to call it. I'll close that to whatever works, because the longer tube has a lot more restriction in it, so it requires more air to flow through it to get to the other vent on the other side of the room. So that's what I use anyways for that. And yeah, like minus 30 before wind chills, it keeps it comfortable. I mean, in minus 30, 35, you'll probably still be wearing a sweater in there, but it's, you know, still, I'm willing to bet you plus 15 outside, or inside, I mean, roughly-ish. I never put a thermometer in there yet, but right now our weather's, I think today's like high of -2, -7 overnight. So this thing, like on a medium setting or whatever, it'll keep it nice and warm. I also use another one in my portable ice fishing shack, and this is why you usually can't reuse the gaskets between the burn chamber. I lucked out a lot when I did this last year because of having the wrong one. I was able to reuse the original gasket. Where is the atomizer? So the atomizer is just this little stainless steel screen. Oh. That's all that is. Am I on frame? Yeah. So you line it up with, you could, you know, it's probably easier if you put this in before you put the burn chamber back in, but no biggie. Just push her in. Going to use my pick again, just to work it down as low as possible. Being a mesh, it wants to fight because it's hooking on the threads. Is what it is. Not the end of the world. They do go. Little persuasion usually, but give me a sec when we get that in. I'll turn this back on. All right, we're back in. I just used my Allen key or Torx, whatever, Allen key headed T-handle. Now we're going to start this by hand. This is the glow plug going back in. Those threads being a little dirty. Doesn't go the smoothest, but it's going. Got to be careful with the wires that you don't turn too hard and actually break them. There. That's as far as I am for comfortability, putting her down. But yeah, I'm just surprised how clean that is. My other one was horribly discolored and black and sooted up. Come on. There we go. Got it lined up. These sockets come with the kits. At least any kit I've bought, they always come with a socket. Good and snug. Don't death grip it. I don't know, like, I mean, these sockets are decent thickness. I just don't know how much I trust them to not strip. I've heard of people having a lot of grief and problems with those things. So you just take that red plug, slide her down. It'll fill this hole in. Usually, being a good snug plug, it takes a little love to get them in there, but they go. Almost in. So close. Now, little flathead. Help push it over the lid back into the case. Oh, there's another one. That one. Boom. Push it in all the way now. Come on. There we go. See? Boom. Give me a minute. We're gonna get these surfaces cleaned off and get this back together. Alright, we got the gasket material, or the old, it was actually Moto-Sue. We got most of it cleaned off of there, pretty darn good. Cleaned off of there. I don't feel any high spots. Give her a little rub-a-dub with the finger, just make sure it all came off. Before I put this on though, I want to actually clean all this out. That's going to take me a minute or two. Just want to get the dust out of there and whatnot. So all in all, this start to finish has, what have we got? We're like 22 minutes in this video, and it's probably taking me about 25 minutes to get to this point. So like I say, this is a rebuild kit from Amazon Canada. But if you just type in like diesel heater gasket set, you'll find everything you need to find. And because I use this one so much and having another diesel heater as well, I ordered 2 of these kits so I didn't have to mess around at a later date. Or no, maybe 3 kits I ordered. Yeah, I ordered a couple spares anyways, just so then, like say, when I got to rebuild them, give them a cleaning going through, then I have the gaskets. I don't have to wait for nothing. I got them here already. So, but based off how this looks like, and like I say, this is a good couple thousand plus hours again since the last cleaning last year, and I don't recall cleaning these fins. So if you live in a dusty area, I'm sure they'll get a little dirtier. I mean, ours isn't terribly dusty, but clearly it's enough dust, it shows. And to kind of give you an idea, so like in the evenings, this thing runs for probably about 6 hours, 5 days a week. And on weekends, it's running for typically anywhere from 14 to 16 hours. Sometimes I run it all night, especially if it's a really cold day out. So some weekends it runs for 48 hours straight. To kind of give you an idea how many hours are especially on this fan assembly. This fan assembly has never been apart. And like I say, this is the Weaver, what did I say, 3 kilowatt earlier? Yeah, 3 kilowatt. So my setup also upstairs is I don't run this 12 volt heater. I don't run it off. I don't run it off a battery. Simple reason being is because I did that the first year. I killed that battery in the first year. It was Dunsky. Like, I burned because the battery was running off a battery charger as well as a battery, so it didn't last very long. So I'm just using a little bit of brake clean on a paper towel, just give her a little wipey. if I felt comfortable enough pulling this off, I would just bring this upstairs, wash the fan itself, but I don't want to take it off and risk damaging something, knowing my luck. But yeah, like I say, so this thing has been pretty freaking a pretty good little heater for what I use it for. Other people, I know there's mixed reviews about them, and some people have issues with them out of the box, some people do not. Oh, my setup, I actually use a 110 volt to a 12 volt, I think it's a 30 amp adapter. It's actually purchased off of Amazon also. And so take in consideration that these little heaters consume substantially less power than a ceramic heater, way less power than like a space heater, in short. I believe these things consume around, on low anyways, I think it's like around an amp and a half, and then wide open you're 5-6 amps. I think that the highest draw is when you are actually running the glow plug, in comparison to if you were to run a ceramic heater like 1800 or 1500 watt, whatever they are. They actually consume a lot more electricity, but at the same time, we're not looking at the fact of power consumption. We are looking at the fact of the area this has to heat, and heat efficiently. And in our cold weather, there's no way a space heater, ceramic heater can heat that porch up. And so that's why we run this. So the overall cost is actually probably substantially more than an electric heater, but this thing will also clearly heat up a lot more area than a ceramic heater or space heater or whatever. The only one that might work better is actually a baseboard heater for our specific application. But I like the fact that in the event of if there's a power outage, which we sometimes have them here, even though we live in the city, that I can go take the second battery out of my truck, because I run an auxiliary battery and a starting battery. And the absolute worst case is that I can take my auxiliary battery out of the truck if I have to, plug this in, and keep heating that room. And if we have to, in the worst case of emergency, we can block off our living room with whatever blankets, whatever you had to do, and just keep the porch wide, keep the door open to the porch, and just keep this thing cranking, still have heat in the house. So that's a worst case scenario. I think last year we lost power in the house for a couple hours, maybe at most, so it wasn't the end of the world. It was a minor detail, but I'm not saying it's mandatory to, a requirement to have this, but I mean, just worst case scenario, it definitely comes in handy. The one for my ice fishing shack does all right. I mean, if it's cold, it's cold. There's not much you're going to do about that. All right. Now, we got to figure out what side was what plug on. I believe that was on this side. When in doubt, yeah, this is this side. The reason being, so this plug here for the RPM pickup is a 3-wire. Oh, no, I got it backwards. Sorry, my bad. The temperature is a two wires, so the 2-wire will go on this side. Don't ask me why, but that's the way it is. And then the pickup is on a 3-wire prong, still using 2 wires, but it's spread out. So that has to go there, because it will not work over there. Sweet. now that we're getting all this doodad figured out, let's get her back together and test her out. So this is my ghetto setup, but it works in the winter for in this room. Sitting all summer though, the pump had a blockage, so it took me about half an hour to use my Mighty Vac vacuum pressure pump to check for blockages in the line to and from the pump. So there she is, running. Adjustable controller, that one. There's a couple different types, but and then that's the transformer from Amazon. Anyways, there she is, she's working. Everybody have a good day.